You can stay up to 180 days. So 180
Whoa,
days as a tourist.
that's
That's a lot of
cool.
time. That's
Yeah.
a lot of time. 180 days with your passport.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and I am joined today by my co host, Pablo, who is back with us again. And we are excited to talk about how to move to Costa Rica as an expat. This is the Expat Life Show on the Travel to Money podcast. Hey, Pablo, it's so great to have you back again.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here again. This is a topic that I think we have a lot to cover. I'm a Costa Rican, so I'm not an expat in Costa Rica. I'm a Costa Rican. I grew my entire life in Costa Rica, and then I had to live abroad. So I moved to the States. So I lived then as an expat in the States, and then I
Mhm.
returned to Costa Rica. So I think I have some insight as a person, someone that talks to a lots of expats and to lots of people who want to move to our country, but also as a business owner, and I know some of the complexities of navigating to through my country.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I want to jump into questions about how to move to Costa Rica as an expat. But if you could paint a quick picture of Costa Rica real quick, just give us a little brief
Wow.
overview of what you love about your country and
Right.
what you think of it.
I'm gonna give you first. I have to say, sometimes I say this. I'm the worst Costa Rican because it's funny. It's funny because I could leave and I travel. You know me. I travel a lot. I'm 1 week in Mexico, next week in Costa Rica. Today I'm in Colombia. So I have this perspective of my country of I know why people come and all of the wonders and why is it beautiful. And I also have the perspective of why this other country may be also exciting. I could live somewhere else. That's what I'm trying to say. But
Right.
let's talk about Costa Rica. Costa Rica, it's a very small little country. It's
Mhm.
tiny. It's only 4 million, four and a half. The last time I remember I checked, 4.5 million people. So it's very
Wow.
small. And in
Hmm.
this very small, tiny little piece of land, you have it's very small and it connects the two oceans. So you have the Atlantic and the Pacific. So you have two oceans in a very small, little, tiny country. And right in the center, there is a line of volcanoes and mountains. And so it's divided by this, line of, volcanoes. And there's lots of volcanoes. And then you have rivers, that from those mountains go down to the two oceans. So it just all of that makes this one of the biggest or largest countries for I can't pronounce this, biodiversity.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
for many years, people has visited Costa Rica to enjoy a lot of natural and ecological tourism. For
Hmm.
many years, you have people visiting hundreds of small beach towns around these two coasts, and I'll say, some of these beach towns have become very touristy and very popular. It's interesting, and also the scientific community has come to Costa Rica for many years to do research about the biodiversity, and that also attracts another type of tourism. It's not the type of tourism you may see maybe in Cancun, where you have all these big fancy hotels and it's very commercialized. It's more like connecting with nature. You love nature. You want to explore, getting maybe hike and get to the river and see a beautiful waterfall, which we have like maybe hundreds of waterfalls. So it's beautiful place to come and visit, and you need at least 2 weeks, even though it's too small for you to like visit, to really have an idea of how is the country and what it's got in this small piece of land. You have to have 2 weeks because there is a lot of nice things to see in a small piece of land. And then on top of that, the country has for many years, I'll say maybe 50, 60 years, have been doing a lot of things that are very intelligent to attract more tourism and to make Costa Rica stand out from other destinations. One of these things is the country first in 1948 abolished the army, and that budget for the army, they moved that budget into education. So regardless of where you are in Costa Rica, you could be in the capital, you can be in a very small little tiny town. Regardless of all of that, you're gonna find a public school that is completely free. And Ticos have among one of the highest rates of education, people that can read, and also one of the highest levels of people that speak English that are bilingual. Because the country itself has invested a lot into education. Now, university, you go to a public university and it's very expensive. It's peanuts if you compare to going to university in other countries. So a lot of investment on education. It's one of the things that people like. You want to move into a country as an expat and you see the people you're talking to, there is some brain in that. We study, we are cultured, we learned about things. Now, another thing that the country has done is like they have positioned the country as a touristy destination for ecotourism, and that attracts the right type of tourists. You can find a spot where you can do surfing and maybe adventure sports and other things, right? But you also attract the type of tourists that care for nature, care to connect. Not just about getting into a party and drinking, and you know what I mean. The government has created for many years this environment where Costa Rica, it's a good place for the right type of person. That makes Costa Rica a bit more expensive than other countries in the region, because the people that come into our country have more resources. It's just more expensive than other countries. It feels like maybe some cities in the US versus maybe you go to Mexico or to Nicaragua or even Colombia. It is maybe 20, 30 or even 40% less expensive to visit these other countries. But once again, Costa Rica is not for everyone because it attracts that special type of customer that cares about these other things, values and education. Also, we have a very strong health system that is public. So you're having a baby in Costa Rica through the public service. It's free, things like that.
Wow.
So there are many things that the country has done to position itself as a better destination, not just to attract expats, but for the population in Costa Rica. So we get these free services, and of course, if it's free, maybe you're paying because it takes more time to get that appointment. But on that is a good example. You're having a baby, you just walk I'm having a baby, and you just walk into a hospital and you get treated, regardless if you have money or if you quoted to the social security system or not. The country or the system will take care of the baby and you and your situation. So I was just trying to summarize some of the things Costa Rica has to offer that are a little bit particular, special, that attracts newcomers into Costa Rica.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I think that is going to be really helpful for a lot of people. Costa Rica is definitely a hot spot for expats. And so I feel like it's a popular place for people to move, which is something that you help people do. So that's incredible. Do you know, for those who are just kind of learning about it, considering Costa Rica as a destination to live, do you know what are the different residency options available for expats in Costa Rica, and which one is best suited for different types of individuals?
I have to say, I'm not an immigration attorney. I'm not a legal expert, but I can see, and this, by the way, also these things changes. So maybe somebody's watching this video a year from now, and then there's other options, or some of these options change over time. I'll say the first option is that the Costa Rica is very friendly with the tourists. So you can stay up to 180 days. So 180 days as a tourist. That's
cool.
A lot of time. That's a lot of time. 180 days with your passport, as long as, of course, there are some nations that may have some restrictions. If you're coming from Nicaragua, then you have to request a visa. If you're coming from Venezuela, you have to request a visa. There are some countries, even I believe also Colombia. But for most North Americans, people from Mexico, United States, and Canada, and from most of the countries in the European Union, all you need is your passport.
That
so
is so cool.
Into Costa Rica, and you can stay here for 6 months without having to do anything. Now, the country is very small, so you just have to drive across the border, stamp that you spent a day or maybe even a few minutes in Nicaragua or Panama, which are the two borders, north and south, and then you get another 180 days. So you do not need to get, a
A
big
visa or something
fancy
special.
visa or a special type of residency, or if you just want to come and test the waters. So that's kind of like one of those things. If you do want to become a Costa Rican or have a temporary residency and then, full-time residency, there are a few categories, and there are a few categories that, as it is right now, they're offering some benefits. So these are investors. So if you are making an investment for $150,000 into the country, which is not bad. I mean, I remember the golden visa in Portugal was $400,000, so it was a big amount. So 150 Costa Rica. I mean, it's not the same type of passport you may get, right? It's not an European passport, but it's $150,000. Then if you make this investment, there's other categories, but if you make this investment or you go into the retiree, if you prove that you have, a pension and you're getting this every month pension or income from your government, or if you prove that you have a steady income coming, let's say you have properties that you rent and you prove that you have this steady income coming in every month, with your bank account, you show that for, X amount of time you have that income, then you also qualify to have a temporary residency in Costa Rica. So those are the three basic options for most expats or people who are looking to move to Costa Rica. There are over 20 categories for many other reasons, but those are the three top that I see happen a lot. Maybe if you get married with a Costa Rican person, or maybe if you have a kid in Costa Rica, that's another one, very quick and easy. But they're like I said, there are over 20 categories depending on who you are, where you're coming from. Maybe if you're coming from a country that is maybe Venezuela or a country that has conflicts or something, then you have another type of category that you may apply. So yeah, there's many options. But now the benefits of applying under investor, retiree, or having an steady income every month, if you can prove that, the benefits are, and it's about to expire in about a year. This is just a temporal benefit that it's available, is that you save money on the transfer of a property. So you save about 10% of that. So you're buying a property, you have to pay a tax on that purchase. So there is a discount on that. Now, if you're importing a shipment into Costa Rica because you're moving, you prove that you're moving, you are exonerated of paying import taxes of a container and up to 2 vehicles if you prove that you are doing these three particular immigration statuses. Once again, investor, retiree, or if you prove that you have a steady income every month. So these benefits are only available, and I believe it's only about a year and a few months before they go away. So before, depending on when are you hearing this, you may want to check. You can write us an email, or I'm happy to introduce you as well to an immigration attorney that can help you with those processes. But what's important is that these benefits that you can qualify in Costa Rica are going to go away. It's a temporal benefit that the government implement to incentivize the economy, and they did it after COVID for 5 years, and it's been almost 5 years since COVID was here. Yeah, so that's about the immigration part. I think that's a lot. And once again, I'm not an expert on this field. I'd rather introduce whoever wants more information to an expert. And I do have a big network of contacts.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that, honestly, that blew my mind when you were talking about 180 days. That's really hard to find in a lot of places. Just as a traveler who, I like slow travel. I like to go get used to a country, but I'm not trying to necessarily move there. And the ability to stay, and then if you want to stay longer, to just go get your passport stamped out for one day and come back. That is really cool. Mm-hmm. That's a great note for digital nomads. So I love that. For those that are looking to move there, what are the biggest challenges expats will face when transitioning to life in Costa Rica, and how can they overcome them?
Well, a lot of them are gonna be with the intercultural, getting used to this new culture in Costa Rica. I don't know if you heard this saying, but we have something that is called pura vida.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard about pura vida?
Yeah.
Pura vida means, literally translation is pure life. So it's kind of like pure life, and I can imagine, I can picture this like somebody doing yoga. It's like pure life. It's like relax, enjoy yourself. So the rhythm of somebody in Costa Rica is going to be way slower. People care more about relationships and family. You want to get something done, anything. Let's say you want to go and open a bank account. You have all the paperwork, you need a day. Wait in line or hire a facilitator or somebody that can help you, or if you're doing it yourself, wait in line. You want to pay for the local municipality taxes. Okay, you go, wait in line, maybe half day. So the pura vida is relax, but at the same time, when we talk about it before, at the same time, it seems to be, something that people get frustrated because it's an excuse sometimes for not getting quality service, or it's an excuse sometimes. Some people may use it as, okay, relax, pura vida. But then if you're moving abroad, you're making a big investment. It's not
right
that relaxing, right? Is you want to make sure things are done properly on time, and time is money, and then so that's kind of like the biggest. And it's not just Costa Rica. Panama has got the same, probably even worse. I mean, they don't call it pura vida. It's just Panama. Nicaragua could be the same thing. In general, it's a big challenge. The other one would be the language barrier. But Costa Rica, I think we have a lot of Costa Ricans. I think last time I checked, is over 40% of the population is bilingual. So it's a big number of people that are going to understand you, you can get help from people, or make friends, or make connections, or maybe find yourself a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Yeah, maybe it makes it easier. But that's the other challenge I see. I also see whenever you become an expat, you are abroad, I also see there is a lack of trust, because you enter into a new country as a tourist. And I don't know if you can picture this, but every time you are a tourist, you get attacked. I mean, today I'm visiting Medellin. You step off the airport and then you get attacked. You need a taxi, and then you get attacked. Here's a tour. And then you get all these people, trying to sell you something. And I understand this is their job, but you feel attacked. So when you are transitioning from a tourist into a full-time expat, then you can get attacked by real estate people. Oh, these properties, I'll sell you this, I'll sell you that. And look, my cousin has this lot, or my whatever. That creates that lack of trust. And I believe is very well.
Okay.
It makes sense. It makes sense that people do not trust. You're right. You don't have to trust the first person. And then it can take it to another level. Don't trust the taxi driver as your real estate agent, or don't trust anyone just because they say they know someone that knows somebody. Always do your due diligence. Learn about the topic. Don't get excited with the first property. Don't get excited if you meet somebody that you like right away. Hold on, wait. Even with dating people, hold on. I know when you're traveling, you are always more relaxed because you are looking at all these things and you're excited. But you must remember that excitement is going to go away. And the honeymoon that you may have for Costa Rica or for Medellin in Colombia is going to go away. And then you get hit with reality of how things are done in that particular destination. And I think that's the other challenge. There's a lot of, and then I believe my business is based on that. I work so hard on building trust and building a reputation and always doing things properly and trying to, I'm fighting to get the best Google reviews. And I knew this because I had people calling me, a year later saying, I'm leaving, Pablo, somebody ripped me off. So I saw something's wrong with this. So that's how my business came about becoming, so popular. A lot of people just refer our business.
So one of the things that I feel like a lot of people are moving abroad for, you have quality of life wherever they're moving abroad. I feel like that is a factor, especially moving from countries like the US or the UK, where it's rush, hustle, all about like making money. And so you can find that quality of life in a lot of different places. But another piece of the equation is money. Like, can my money go further somewhere else? So can you tell us a little bit about what the cost of living is in different parts of Costa Rica, or Costa Rica in general? Things like housing, food, transportation.
Okay, if cost of living is your biggest motivation,
not Costa Rica.
Don't move to Costa Rica. Not Costa Rica. Costa Rica is, like I said before, it attracts some people, the right type of people for the country. If you care more about being in a neutral country that is not going to be involved into no war or no geopolitical issue. There's a lot of people that are trying to escape from Canada and United States, and they look at Costa Rica. Oh, they abolished the army in 1949. There is no army, and they put the money into education. That's values. There's the values of there's a lot of Costa Ricans that are over 40% speak English, and over 60 plus whatever percent read and write. Where other countries within the region, they have maybe only 20% of people speak English or less, and there's a lot of people that do not know how to read, even read. So if you want to deal with people that has got a little bit better education in general, I'm not saying all the people, but in general, it's got these facts, these numbers that makes the country attract a level of customer. That's kind of like the value proposition for Costa Rica. It's peace, is educated people, is good or better healthcare for free, and even for the paying system where you pay. Surgery in another place in the U.S. could be $20,000. In Costa Rica, could be $5,000, could be $6,000. So you care about these other things. Healthcare, it's important. And even though you're saving money, Costa Rica, the promise for the country, or what is known for, is to have good quality, not just cheap, but good quality healthcare. Now, I would say in Costa Rica, it's a bit more expensive than any other country within the region. Maybe about 20 to 30% more expensive than any other country within the region. Talking about Mexico, talking about Panama or Colombia, it's going to be a bit more expensive. Now, there's ways to go about and eat like a local and spend less money and buy things at the farmers market, and no eating out every night or not eating out 3 times a week. Of course, there are ways to make these things more affordable. But once again, to be quite honest, you can go and eat out in Panama more times a week than in Costa Rica, or in Colombia. You can go and eat out and do more things with your money in Colombia or other places. So cost of living may not be, what makes the country the best fit. Now, I do believe, because we have democratic system that is not perfect, it's got its issues, but we have a political system that is very stable. The country has proven to have pretty good solutions for issues. I'm gonna give an example. We had 3 years and a half, almost 4 years, COVID, and the country was not the less expensive one, but the country managed COVID as one of the best places. So how it was managed, because we have a strong health system that costs money, costs taxes, right? And makes it more expensive. But the country managed a crisis like COVID very well, almost better than any other country in the region. So, okay, it's more expensive, but it was able to manage a horrible situation way better than most other countries. After COVID, Costa Rica became the top the top place for people to travel, to start traveling again or doing a vacation again. It was rated as one of the countries that managed this crisis better. But that's because the country pours millions into healthcare, millions into a system that costs money. So when you come into a country and you see things are more expensive, everything you buy has a little tax,
right?
And that makes it more expensive. When you import something into a country, that pays import taxes, so it makes it also more expensive. There's other reasons why people move to Costa Rica, not just the money. I'll go another example of how the country handles better crises and situations. Not too long ago, and this is an example, Costa Rica versus Panama, which is right next to the other. Not too long ago, Panama had a crisis. They allowed for a contract to be given to a Canadian company, a mining Canadian company, literally destroyed 150 acres of land to extract cobalt and other minerals. And that was signed under like strange situations, maybe like Saturday night at 10 p.m. All the government officials signed this paper, giving this particular super great deal for this Canadian mining company. The next thing that happened is the entire population in Panama shut down the entire country for 2 months and a half, for a lot of time. So I stopped going to Panama in October. I had an apartment in Panama City and in San Jose, back and forth. I just stopped going to Panama because you couldn't do anything. Everything was shut down. So they managed a crisis. It was not it was not the best. The entire country collapsed over
Wow.
a political issue. The same thing happened with COVID. It was a nightmare in COVID, the way they handle it. And Costa Rica, when there is this type of issues, crisis,
Okay.
it tends to be more relaxed, more pura vida, if you want to call it. The personality of the Costa Rican tends to be more relaxed. It tends to be, a little bit more like, we talk more diplomatic. We talk more things. It's not as often where you see people on the streets doing strikes. It's not. You see that maybe every other every other year, or maybe once a year. Somebody in a region on the Caribbean side, there is something, or maybe the educators or teachers, they want to get a little better salary, and they do that, but they don't block the country. In Costa Rica offers that a little bit more stability of how maybe the personality or the culture of the Costa Rican is like that. It's like more polite, where I see, the opposite side to that, maybe Panama, is like the country doesn't like, the Panamanian doesn't like something that the government is doing, and they will just shut down the country for a month. And I seen it happen every other year. They shut the country for like 3 weeks or a month just because they want to get better something, get a lower cost of living. And that's okay. The Panamanian can do, whatever they want, or how that's their style. But it's not good to attract the international investor or expats who are looking to move. And in fact, I had people call me and say, well, I need to move out of Panama because this is getting out of hand. Going back to why Costa Rica has this set of values that attracts people is historically we have been able to manage crises way better than most other countries in the region.
Yeah, that's some really good information. And I hadn't even specifically thought about that, but that's a really good point. So asking really quickly, just for maybe a number, because you've lived in Costa Rica and you've lived in the US, and you said if you're moving here because you're looking for like the best budget-friendly place, don't do that. But if you were to compare to someone living in the US, what would you say if you spent $100 a month in the US, how much of that same $100 would you spend in Costa Rica? Obviously, the cost of living isn't $100 a month anywhere, but if we were going to use that round number, what's the percentage?
There are some states, California, New York, New Jersey. There are some states that are just totally expensive. They're just very expensive. I talk to people all the time. How much you pay your rent? $3,000, $3,500. In California, things like that, for not a big apartment or anything. In that case, Costa Rica might be for you, because I have a 3-bedroom apartment in a gated community with security 24/7, and I pay $1,300. So I got a lot of. It's a nice place, a nice. I mean, it's not ultra super duper, luxurious, but it's a nice location. People like that. But if you live in a place, maybe some places in Florida are more affordable, smaller towns in the US that are more affordable, then Costa Rica may seem to be equal, or maybe even more expensive, depending on maybe a bit more expensive if you live in a touristy area. And the thing is, most expats, they want to live in the touristy area. So that makes it more expensive. But if you step out in a 20-30 minute radius out of a touristy area, things are a lot more affordable. Maybe 10-20% more affordable.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, because I don't have a percentage, and it's different in every place. Yeah, and it's also exploring different towns and locations. I'll say there are many places that are very touristy, small little beach towns and areas in the country that are very touristy. There's a lot of options. But just 30 minutes away from those locations, you find land that is a lot more affordable. You find, what the local eats. If you're, you save yourself a lot of money. I see where people move. I see most people move to a touristy town. That's a big percentage of people. And then the other piece of that pie, it's going to be the Central Valley, San Jose, kind of like in the nicer neighborhoods. And there's also other towns about an hour away from San Jose. If you are staying within San Jose, what I have found is that the people that want to stay within San Jose, is like they don't really care that much about being on the ocean. And they care a little bit more about getting the best access to healthcare. Maybe if you're retired, then you want to be able to be maybe 5 minutes away from a world-class hospital. Or you have kids, then you want to have a lot of options or the best quality education for your kids. So you're going to find that in the Central Valley. Now, the next group, these other towns that are about an hour away from San Jose, is usually very well known for having a pretty good climate. So you're away. So it's not a city. There's no traffic. Small towns. People walk into the central small parks or central park and make friends and connect with lots of people. And there is a good expat community that lives in Atenas and in San Ramon. And it's kind of like friendly, slower lifestyle, slow motion, a little bit more slow, where you meet everybody and everybody knows each other. That's another option. Orosi, I love Orosi on the other side of San Jose in Cartago. It's a small town, beautiful. Everywhere you see is green. It's got a river that crosses a little valley. The valley of Orosi. It's got a lot of history, but people just don't talk about these places. That could make it more affordable when you're buying property and a good place to live. The downsides of going into these hidden gems is very few people is going to speak English, or less people are going to be able to provide the services you need. Maybe you need a carpenter, maybe you need a plumber, maybe you need many different services that you need. And then the number of people that are fully bilingual are going to be a lot less. That's what's going to happen with these hidden gems. But it depends on who you are. Maybe you are good learning this second language, or maybe you already speak Spanish. For that, I could encourage you to look for those hidden gems that are going to save you a lot of money. And I have a list of those. But anyway, I can give a list. We only have a few minutes. And the other group, I would say, is those touristy towns that people fall in love when they went for a trip for surfing, or they went for a trip with those to do all this adventure, ecotourism, and so there is a list of those places in Guanacaste, in the north area of the country. They have five or six towns like that: El Coco, Playa de Coco, Tamarindo, Nosara, Samara, Playa Santa Teresa. Those are just names, a few names on the north side of the country that are very popular, that are packed with expats and people who wanted to live in Costa Rica and they want to have this ocean view or very close to the ocean. The other area that is very popular is Central Pacific, which is only maybe an hour and a half from San Jose, so it's not that far from San Jose. And that area has got Jaco, Playa Hermosa, Quepos, Manuel Antonio. There's many towns, beach towns on that region of the country that also has got a lot of expats. But the two main places, I would say, or the three main places is Jaco, Manuel Antonio, and Ojochal or Dominical. Those places are all maybe driving distance between each other, maybe 30 minutes to an hour and a half. That's Central Pacific. And the third of those touristy locations that are well known for expats, I would say, is Puerto Viejo de Limon on the Caribbean side, which is a beach town that's got a different flavor. There's a lot of people from African roots. So you have the cuisine, it's different. Taste is different. The music is a little bit different. A lot of people like that. And it's full with Europeans, and not just people from the United States or Canada, but also it attracts people from Europe a lot. So that's the other region. There's a lot of places, like I'm telling you, there's a lot of places that people could go and try it out and research.
Yeah, that sounds like there are a lot of options. It sort of reminds me of being in Spain. A lot of people, most expats end up in the super touristy areas that everyone's heard of. And then some people like me end up in these random small towns that are awesome, but you don't know until you go explore because no one's talking about them. And so I see that same kind of trend in lots of different places. It makes sense though. Well, for those who want to really be able to integrate into the community, what are some things that they can do to build relationships with Costa Ricans? I mean, outside of learning the language, obviously that would be pretty primary if you really want to integrate well with the locals. But outside of that, is there anything to know just about building relationships with Costa Ricans?
I believe the two basic things are going to be through hobbies. So what you like, if you like maybe biking, there's a lot of bikers in Costa Rica. Then you get into this biking group. Maybe you like scuba diving, huge scuba diving tribe, and you want to connect. And that way you connect with people that based on your particular hobbies. The other way is through helping church or nonprofits. Talk to the local pastor. There is in different places in the country, there are bilingual churches that you can just talk to a pastor and get involved with your local church. Or there are also lots of nonprofits that help different, different things, from rescue dogs or pets from the streets to, helping childs, support kids with food and things like that. There's all kinds of things that people can do. Donating your time would be the best way to
I love it.
to connect
That's
with the locals.
fantastic. You've been a complete wealth of knowledge. I feel like I've learned quite a bit about Costa Rica today because I've never been, and it's definitely on my list for sure. But it's such a hot spot for expats. So for those, listening, I'm sure this has been helpful for you. Leave us a comment. Let us know if you have any questions about anything about Costa Rica or anything else that we've talked about. Let us know if you have any topics you'd like for us to cover. We'd love to hear from you. Just have some conversation with you, get to know you a little bit. Thank you so much, Pablo, again, for being here. And for those of you out there listening, thank you so much for being part of what we're doing here. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.